Welcome back to our ongoing series. I've got Chris with me today, and we are talking about some new topics. Now, Chris, how are you feeling after our last episode? It went up live last night.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I've been enjoying these ongoing conversations. They've been better. They've been good for me to kind of progress my own journey, and
Right.
so I really appreciate the opportunity. So thank you.
It's interesting because and I think this is one of the things that a lot of people forget about. And one of the things that you special forces guys really understand well is the importance of a team and the importance of having
Mm-hmm.
people that you can build with, bounce ideas off of, and run with ideas on. Collaborations
Yeah,
are huge.
absolutely. Yeah, the team is everything when you're on an ODA, and so being able to not only be there to do your own job, but help others do theirs as well, because it's all about accomplishing the mission and working together to do that. And so, yeah, collaboration is where it's at. And I'm a big fan of surrounding yourself with a tribe that's going to push you to be the best version of yourself.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I think that that's something too that um, there was this one quote that I saw a while back, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I cannot remember quotes to save my life. But
Yeah.
it essentially said that we will tend to rise to the level of the people that surround us. So if you surround
Mhm.
yourself by people who are, think about that. If your friends were like, it, no judgment on who they are, but like, a CEO of this company, I was going to say Bill Gates and Elon Musk, and people are like, hey, whoa, that's a weird group of friends, right? But,
Yeah,
you get a C level group of friends, you're probably going to be sitting there thinking, you know what, I need to be building my empire. I need to be building my,
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
Versus if your friends are sitting around and doing nothing all day.
Right, exactly. And so one of my favorite quotes is from Dan Pena, and he says, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." And I 100%
Oh
agree with
man,
that. And exactly.
that's
So
good.
whoever you're surrounding yourself with is that's that's where you're going to end up. So whether that's
Right.
super successful or super emotionally intelligent or just super physically fit or whoever it is, that's you're going to be the average of that.
Well, and it plays well into our next topic. We put together this list of topics, and I still think that sadly we're not there yet. But why Die Hard is the best movie ever is probably one of my favorite. But we're looking today at male complacency versus being better every day, and this is
Mm-hmm.
why I got a little dressed up today is
Yeah.
to talk about my granddad. My granddad was an interesting guy, and he worked. He was part of that generation in that went through World War II. He wasn't a soldier. Both of his brothers were, but he got selected for. Um, they needed a certain group of people that were selected for like in country in case the country was invaded. They couldn't
Mm-hmm.
send everyone out. So he was like all of
Right.
his brothers were selected for the draft to the military, and he was selected for the civilian service. And so he went to work full time, and they were like teaching them how to make sticky bombs. They were teaching them to make all these things. It's like they went through
Right.
that in the UK, and he all of my uncles in the Battle of Britain were sent out to live in the countryside, just like Chronicles of Narnia and stuff, and he stayed in London and prepared and helped every day. They, after the Battle of Britain, they would, at night they would all hunker down. In the day, they would go out and dig out the city, and that's
Right.
what they
Right.
did, and that's what he was doing. He was digging out people, trying to rescue people. After that, my family kind of decided that they're like, well, we've had enough of Europe for a little while, and they immigrated
Right.
to the States. But first of all, they moved to Africa, and he spent some time in Kenya running a printing press. He worked for a book company making books, and then after that, they moved to New England, where my dad grew up. But one of the things about my granddad that was interesting, I never in my life, except for one day, and it freaked me out. I never saw him in anything but a three-piece suit. every single day of his life.
Yeah.
He had the
Yeah.
suit, the tie, the vest, the jacket, even in the most extreme heat. And I remember there was one day that we all went to the beach. And my granddad was wearing a t-shirt plus an undershirt. He had to have his undershirt on,
Right.
t-shirt, undershirt, and shorts. And I was terrified. I went up to my dad. I was like, "What is wrong with Grandpa? Is everything okay?" But he
Yeah.
strived to always present himself well. And I think that was kind of the old school English side in him. But he always, and he was not a man of means. He was
Mm.
not wealthy. He was not affluent in any way, shape, or form. He was, very much working class, but he decided that no matter what was going on, no matter what job he did, he needed to look good and present himself well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that always inspired me.
I love it. That's great. Yeah. It's, there's something about, yeah, the way you carry yourself, and it's, what is it? It's how you do anything is how you do everything. Right. And
Right.
so, yeah. So making that decision to put on the suit every day, that's a reflection of kind of probably how he conducted the rest of his life too, with attention to detail, striving for excellence, wanting to put the best foot forward. Right. I'm making some assumptions here, but I can,
No, no,
based on
that
the
was
story you
him.
just told me. Yeah. Yeah. So,
They were assumptions that are correct because
yeah.
from a simple act, you can see how that person proceeds. Now, there was something that I had, and you just said something. There's just this analogy brewing that is just like, oh man, that's awesome. Let's look at it this way. Let's take that out and develop it out a little bit more. Putting on a suit, right? It doesn't have to be a suit. That suit that you put on could be the gym. You could put
Oh
on
yeah.
your
Yeah.
workout, and that suit, that thing that you were putting on that day could be the gym. There was do you remember a couple years ago, and I really love this. When I was finishing up college, moving out into life, um, there were a lot of Christians that had this motto, "What would Jesus do?" And I loved
Mm.
it because it helped people. Like everyone would like talk about dogma and doctrine, and then suddenly like, "Hey man, there's a book right there. You can see how this guy acted.
Right.
Are you acting like that?" And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, just Jesus. We could have any number of role models.
Mm.
What would Randy Savage do? What would Dwayne Johnson do? And I mean,
Yeah.
whoever it
Yeah.
might be
Exactly.
that what would Winston Churchill do? You pick the
Mm.
person that you seek to emulate, and all of those people I just mentioned were flawed in their own way, but
Sure.
they I'm sure in some ways we're better than where we're at right now. So, what would these people do and how can you
Sure.
emulate that?
Yeah. I like that a lot. I'll take it a step further.
Oh, I
A
love it.
question I like to a question I like to ask myself is, what would me 5 years from now do? So if I'm striving to be more successful or healthier or more emotionally intelligent or better read, uh, that if that's the guy I'm striving to be, I picture him 5 years from now. All right, what would he do in this situation? Let me try to act like him, because
Yeah.
I desperately want to live up to that potential that's within me, and the only way to do that is to act like the person I could become.
There was this one guy, and I think a lot of people misjudge what you told me this last time. People overthink what they can accomplish in a year, and under like how did you say that again?
Yeah, and it's actually a paraphrase from one of Bill Gates' quotes, but the paraphrase is, "We overestimate what we can accomplish in a year and drastically underestimate what we can accomplish in five." I try to live my life that way. I'm I'm not a sprinter. I want to be a marathon runner in regards to success in life, and
Right.
the best way to do that is to compound that interest of effort over the long haul. And so dream big and take small steps consistently.
There was this one time that I was living in Los Angeles, and I was really down in the dumps, and I was just like every day I was going and doing my routine, and I was driving from here to here for work, and then I came home, and then I was trying my hustle like to make extra money, and stuff just wasn't happening.
Mm.
And one day I flew up to see my family, took up in the sky. And as that plane was lifting off, I could look back and see where my house was at. And it was so small.
Yeah.
And yet when I was at home, I was stuck inside those four walls of my room, and I
Yeah.
could not see what was beyond me. And I think time is that way as well. There was this interview I saw yesterday on it was a podcast. I don't know the guy. And I was like sitting there looking, scrolling before I'm going to bed, and I didn't save it. I was like, oh man, I would love to interview that guy. But essentially, the guy was a fitness guru
Mm.
who has created this huge empire of online fitness. And he said, about 5 years ago, he was broke. He had no money.
Mhm.
He was living paycheck to paycheck. He was dealing with overdraft fees. He was not, able to pay things. And then he started doing consistent posting of videos,
Mm.
and he created this online workout space. He's now worth the company that he owns plus him is worth 300 mil.
Yeah. No big deal.
No big deal. And it's
Yeah.
been 5 years, and it's essentially he took consistent effort, put it into something he could create, and then started crushing it, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's where it comes down to consistent effort. And if you can be
Mhm.
consistent, changes everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. I 100% agree. And that's like 90% of my philosophy when I'm coaching folks one on one. It's consistency is where you make your money. It beats consistency and discipline beat motivation every time because your willpower and your motivation bucket eventually run empty. And and if you can teach yourself to just be consistent and put things on autopilot, uh, you just you com that compound interest of effort is pretty substantial in the long run.
Have you read this? There's this new book. I think it's called The Power of Habit or something like that. I've been reading this book, and it's
Mhm.
phenomenal. And there's one of the points that this
Yeah.
guy makes too, and he has this thing and the science behind it. One of the things he says is that exactly what you're saying. People's will eventually tank. And so he said that
Hmm.
there's an interesting thing that he does: the when and the where. The when and the
Hmm.
where. And that was one of the
Yep.
things that was really interesting to me. And I was like, if a person goes, I'm gonna work out tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow is a big time, and then you get into
Exactly.
tomorrow, and then tomorrow's gone, and you're like, I didn't hit the gym. That's really
Hmm.
annoying. He's like, tomorrow at 7 a.m. at the gym on this street at this corner,
Yeah.
which is close to my house. And another one of the big points that he pointed out was convenience. Make sure it's a gym that's easy to get to, that you don't have a big
Exactly.
commute. And he's like, you schedule the time and the place, it's convenient for you, and it becomes done, easy, no brainer, no problem.
Hmm. Yeah.
And he's like, but that habit over time. And he also said this, and it comes back to what we were talking, what I was just saying with putting the suit on. You don't think about yourself as someone going to work out. You think about
Right.
yourself as a person who has a fitness lifestyle. You think
Exactly.
about
Yeah.
yourself as an investor, and suddenly
Hmm.
those things become your reality because you make the choices for
Right.
that.
Exactly. No, and that's actually like our first session when I work with people is developing that exact mindset is figure out figure out what your identity is, figure out the person you want to become, write that down or record yourself saying it and listen to it over and over and over again. And it's clutch because like it shifts you from saying things like I want to be healthy or I want to get in shape or whatever to I I am a person that I'm a person that prioritizes my health and fuels my body in a significant way. I mean, those two statements are way different. Like one day I'll be healthy or one day I'll be fit versus no,
Yep.
that's my identity now. It may not look like it yet, but that's what I'm going to strive to be, and that's what I'm going to say to myself every day, and that's how I'm going to start acting. It's big difference.
A huge difference. Arnold Schwarzenegger, you gotta love that guy. And he
Yeah,
Arnold has a challenge right now, and the challenge is a 30-day challenge with his I think it's his organization. You do three things for 30 days. You pick
Yeah.
any three things, but you do those three things every day for 30 days. And I was like, dude, I want to do that. Hit the gym, meditate, and do a degree
Mm.
of stretching. 15
Yeah.
minutes of meditation. Doesn't have to be a long workout. I just get in the gym.
Right. Right. No, that's clutch. And making that commitment to yourself, and also making it super easy. Like three things, anybody can do three things. And that's like the beauty of it. It's and and the fact that you get to pick it too is even better. Uh, creating these creating these rules, and I'm reluctant to say that because sometimes people get nervous around the term rule, but
Right.
creating these very simple rules that you just live by is kind of awesome, because it takes some pressure off you too. It's if you've just committed, yeah, I'm going to do these three things for the next 30 days. Sweet. Now you don't have to worry about trying to schedule, I don't know, an appropriate meditation practice, whatever. No, it's just like it's I do it every day. It's 15 minutes and it's on the schedule, and it's part of the rules that I live by. And
Yep.
um, I experienced a little bit of that. I tried the 75 hard challenge recently. Full
Okay.
disclosure, I had to stop it prematurely because I had lost like 20 pounds, and that was running counter to my goals. But so if you're not familiar, the 75 hard challenge is it's just broken down into simple rules. It's rule one is follow a diet, whatever diet, no cheat meals, no alcohol. Rule two, work out twice a day. One of them has to be outside for 45 minutes apiece. Rule three, drink a gallon of water every day. And rule four, read 10 pages out of a book.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's really awesome. And I had actually put it off for a number of years. I'd heard about it years ago, and I put it off because the 75 is what was intimidating to me. The 75 days straight of doing it was intimidating. But when I stopped for a second and looked at the rules, I was like, oh wait, those are actually relatively simple.
Yeah.
I could do that. I walk my dog every day. I'll just throw on a rucksack and walk him for 45 minutes. So that's my outdoor workout. I go to the gym every day anyway. So that's my indoor workout. My diet, I should have tweaked better because again, I lost like 20 pounds, but in intermittent fasting, I'm a big fan of that. And so I was doing that plus eating a primarily carnivorous diet. And then the gallon of water was probably the biggest struggles because I had to take a leak all the time. Uh,
Right.
but all that to say that it became less intimidating when you just looked at the simplicity of the rules that you established, and it's like, oh, that's actually not bad at all, and I
Yeah.
will benefit greatly from it. Uh,
Well,
so
and one of the things that's awesome. Sorry for
yeah.
the little lag there. One of the things too that with that too, there was a method that I heard about years ago, and I want to come back again to our initial topic, the ideal of male complacency versus better every
Mm-hmm.
day. And this is something that I think is a challenge because popular media really hammers woman on this. Like, oh, she let herself go. And it's like, it's really an unfair double standard that women get slammed for letting themselves go. But men, dude, I know a ton of guys who have let themselves go, who just
Yeah.
quit, who gave up on taking care of themselves, on their health, on a lot of their dreams in their life. And I get it, we have jobs that we have to step into. We have roles that
Mm-hmm.
we have to, step into that aren't always easy to fulfill. But
Sure.
yet, you still have two choices: to just go down this path and let life get away from you. And I see this with, you see it more and more, the people that just are sucked into the screen time, sucked
Mm-hmm.
into, watching videos. I love some Netflix and chill, but, I'm not going to do it for 12 hours a day.
Right.
There's
Right.
nothing wrong with playing a video game to relax and de-stress. But if you're playing it, 6 hours of your free time, then
Mm-hmm.
those things are taken away from a chance of you bettering yourself. Now,
Right.
now, now, what I was going to kick in on what you said is something that I saw years ago called the Kaizen method. And the Kaizen
I love
method
it.
is a
Yeah.
really interesting thing. Right? Awesome, right? So
Yeah.
if I go, I want to be fit, and I am challenged with my upper body. So let's imagine that my goal is to do 20 pull-ups. I'm not at 20 pull-ups. So maybe today I start off with one pull-up, and that one pull-up seems like a lot to me. But tomorrow I do two pull-ups, and then slowly, incrementally, you're stepping yourself forward. And I'm hoping I'm remembering the Kaizen method correctly, but I believe it was like essentially every single day, every single time you do something, you do it in one little step. Is that the
Yeah.
Kaizen method? Am I getting it right?
That, and coupled with the desire to progress or get better daily also. Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I think, I think what frustrates a lot of people is they want or expect results so fast. Um,
Yes.
and, and that's where you're messing yourself up. Understand that maybe it took you 30 years to get out of shape.
Right.
You're not going to fix it in a month. It's a process, and it's going to take time. the The goal is the Kaizen method. Take the small step that moves you a little bit forward every single day, and focus on that step. If you're into math, another way to look at it is, if you improve yourself by 1% every single day, uh, by the end of a year, you are 37 times better than you were when you started. Um, so just imagine if you push that out to 5 years, like the compound interest of consistency and small steps progressing you forward. It's no joke. You just have to believe in the process and do it. Um, I I blame a lot of like, you see fitness magazines like get 6-pack abs in 6 weeks, or beach
Yeah.
body in a month, or something like that. It's like, no, you're setting people up for failure. Um, with one exception, potentially you could achieve those goals if you could maintain the willpower and motivation to make those huge strides every day for the 6 weeks or the month or whatever. But a lot of people can't do that, or a lot of people have not trained themselves to be able to do that. And so
Yeah.
I go back, to the Kaizen principle. Is It's like, take the small step, and as long as it's moving you forward and it's small, if you do that enough, you're crushing it.
Yeah. On the gym side, my poor wife was going through after she had our baby, after we had our daughter. And she was dealing with some weight gain. And she was sponsored by an organization to come in because she's a celebrity. She was sponsored by an organization to support her in getting back to fitness. Um, and they were pushing her too hard. They were getting her in there, and they were doing these mammoth training sessions. And she came home and she's like, I can't walk today. And I said, and we had to step back. And I was like, slow it down, step back, and look at where you're actually is what's good for you.
Right.
And so I said, we don't need to go to the gym and crush it today. We need to go and
Right.
walk for 30 minutes. Just get in there, walk for 30 minutes. And then the next day, we walked for 30 minutes. And I told her, take the speed up, take the speed up, take the speed up. Every day, we kept taking the speed up, increasing the incline. And slowly, we started getting to this place where it got easier. And one of the things I told her to do is bring your phone, put on your Netflix. You're still doing your time, still cranking up the
Yeah.
speed, still increasing. And she just was able to get her mind off of it. But suddenly, exercise was becoming a habit that wasn't
Hmm.
destructive, because that was the thing. Like the attempt
Right.
was, like the way it was being done was actually negative because it wasn't
Hmm.
something sustainable. It wasn't something that could
Exactly.
be
Yeah.
continued.
Right. And I warn, or at least caution, a lot of folks I work with, like, yeah, start off super small, super slow, because you don't want to get to the point where, like in your wife's case, she can't walk. Like, she's so sore, she can't move. Do you think she's excited about going to the gym again? No.
No.
Right. So if you want to make something a habit, you want to get to the point where you like look forward to it and are enjoying the process. And if you are like getting to the point where you're almost scared because it hurts so bad. Like that's not helping you. And
Yeah.
you might be able to do it for a while, but eventually the willpower runs out. Like it's a bucket that's depleted, you know? And,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think your approach was significantly better, and I'm sure you guys got some results.
Well, we did, and we did because we got results that were sustainable, stuff that she could, write home about and be happy about. And one of the places that I want to dive into that about going too deep too fast, diving into the deep end before you're ready. We saw that in martial arts classes, and I saw that in my own experience training as a martial artist. And when you get a new student in the door as a senior teacher, as a senior student, one of your jobs is to pair them up with people who are slightly better than them, but still within their range. You get
Right.
them with you put a blue belt with a white belt. Why? Because it's going to be safe for them. Yeah, but they're not also going to get absolutely destroyed. I remember I went to this one Muay Thai gym, and the coach was this big fan of trial by fire. Get people in there, get them to. And he
Yeah.
he threw me in with this guy who, nice guy, 40-something-year-old guy. He's like, oh, he's older, he's easy. Dude had trained and fought professionally in Thailand, and so he was older. And
Right.
he got me into the Thai clinch and was just yanking down on my neck so hard that eventually just wore out the muscles in my neck, sprained my neck. I had a hard time lifting my head for a week. Wasn't
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
I didn't go
Right.
back to that gym because it's like,
Mhm.
what the hell, man? This is not an enjoyable experience. And I think that's one of the reasons that people have a hard time sticking with things too, is it's like, if you
Yeah.
do too much, it ain't fun. and, and
Exactly.
going back to your rules for life, I want to throw this back at you. What if those, instead of 4 rules a day, what if it was four objectives in a game? What if it was
Yeah. Yeah.
four things that was part of a game that you were playing? Again, gamification. I'm a big fan of that. What if they were four
Absolutely.
objectives in your game that you had to check off every day?
No, I think that's an excellent idea. And there's been talk that maybe we're living in a simulation. And all right,
I love it.
it's like, so what does that mean? That means if this is just a video game, essentially,
Right.
you can have that hard conversation with your boss or have that hard conversation with your significant other and not be too scared because it's just a game, right? It's
Yeah.
you're trying to level up, or you can go to the gym and acquire those new skill sets to level up your character, or go to the library and read all you can to become the mage in your life. Like I'm a huge fan of gamifying life and earning those objectives for sure. I think that's super cool and totally applicable. And again, if it works to get you moving and progressing, and not just in the gym, but like reading books or learning new things from podcasts or whatever. It's whatever it is. I think it's an awesome idea, and I'm a big fan of it. So,
I dropped that analogy on my conservative Christian friend who doesn't
yeah,
believe in game theory, and I dropped it on him, and I was like, okay, well, let's frame it like this. What if it is like this? And I explained it to him, and I was like, step by step. So you think heaven is the ultimate reality, place that we aspire to get to, and here on earth is just this place that we're going through things, right there. And then even for someone who is more conservative, he was like, afterwards, he's like, that's awesome. I am
yeah,
going to apply that because like these are like little heaven sent missions. And I'm like, exactly.
right.
And it's like we if we think that this is part of something bigger, yet it makes it more fun, but let's take it back a notch and ask a question. Why do men become complacent? Why do guys drop the ball?
Good question, and I saw some of it in the community I came from. Um, Sometimes, so I was a Green Beret in the United States Army, and which is kind of a big deal. But I found that sometimes people get to maybe that level of success, or whether that's in the military or maybe just the civilian sector, like career field or whatever the case may be, they reach this level where they think that's enough, and they can kind of coast on that that event, or coast on that accomplishment.
Yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, and it wasn't always, and it wasn't frequent, but I saw some people coast on being a Green Beret, and they let themselves go, or they had just a couple years left in their service, and so they're just kind of floating by, which is
Yeah.
kind of a bummer. So to answer your question, I think sometimes it's because people, maybe men in general, reach a level where they're like, "Yep, this is where I'm at. This is I've reached the pinnacle. I'm done." Um, my buddy Travis and I used to we kind of have this competition going. It's a gentleman's competition, but we're both trying to be the most interesting men that we know, and
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, and so he was a Green Beret as well, and he and I both talked for a long time about, as proud of that accomplishment as I am, I want that to not be the most exciting chapter in my life. I want it to be like a stepping stone to the next thing. I don't want to ever get complacent and just settle,
Right.
because I want to see how far I can go. And he agrees. And so the most interesting man thing is like, all right, what's the next thing we can do to try to one up each other, which keeps us on our toes, I think.
And there was one thing that I saw. I have a family member that, as he has gotten older, um, his temper flares. And I was trying to analyze it the other day. Why does this guy get angry all the time? I had some of my students that I teach regularly, and we were talking about business and money. And I said, I want to be crazy rich. And they're like, oh, you love money. You want to buy things. I said, no, not at all. And they said, well, why do you want to be crazy rich then? I said, I want freedom. I want
Mm.
power. And with that power that I have to enact that change on my life comes the freedom. Let's say that you are struggling financially, and your significant other or child says, my daughter the other day said, Daddy, I would love to go to Disneyland. And for me, and I started a new YouTube channel. It's all about money, and I'm actually really
Yeah.
excited about that one because I'm doing my MBA and I'm learning all this stuff. I am not good with money. I No, hang on. I am good with money. Did not have the information up till
There
this
you go.
point. Up until this point, I don't want to say that I'm
Yeah.
not good at money. I'm not going to label myself that way. I am good with money. I am simply in the process of learning and exploring this
Mhm.
category. And when I look at that, when I look at money, so yeah, I don't have all of this extra float to drop
Mhm.
several $1,000s. Let's be real. You go to Disneyland and you do the whole shebang, it's a couple grand,
Yeah.
or at
At
least a
least.
thousand, at least a
Yeah.
$1,000 you're out, at least just to start. And and I'm not saying that we all should do all those things. Everyone has their different level of what they want in their life, what they think is the acceptable. But what I'm saying is, when you have those assets, when you have that power, when you have that freedom, we don't get bogged down. And I think that there was a quote that most men are living lives of quiet desperation. And I
Mhm.
can't remember who said it, but what I think the complacency is when people start to either A, feel like they're losing their power, losing their motivation, losing their
Mhm.
drive. And I think it can be precipitated by many things, but I think sometimes a general fear about how to handle responsibilities is a part of it as well.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think you're pretty spot on with that. And man, there's a lot to unpack there. The money thing, the being financially free, uh, it is a freedom thing, and it is,
Yes.
like a power thing for sure. And I have friends that are like, hate the idea of people being rich. They think
Right?
money is evil, etc. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think money is an amplifier.
Yes.
Money amplifies what's already there. And so if
Yeah.
if you think, um, if you think being rich makes you corrupt, maybe there's something in you that's needs to be addressed while you're
Yeah.
not rich. So once you do have the money, you don't go all Lex Luthor on people. But but yeah, and then moving on, I think it's tough to see people in a position where they've maybe given up is the wrong term, but for lack of a better
Yeah.
term, given
Yeah.
up on aspirations and dreams. Maybe it's from a place of being comfortable and they just like where they are and they don't need anything else, or maybe it's fear of potential failure. As men, we don't like to lose, right? Well, I don't
Right.
anyway. Um, but maybe it's a fear of success too, because if you achieve some kind of level of significance, it's going to require more of you, and
Yeah.
sometimes men are scared to offer more of themselves. Maybe they're scared. They're like, what if I don't have what it takes? Um, I think that could potentially keep people on the couch or complacent in their lives. That fear of success.
It's intimidating. I mean, I like you think about this. Like I'm sitting here where I'm at right now. What if there was one guy I was reading about that has a financial like advice YouTube channel and the kid's making 200 grand a month. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
What if I was pulling in something like that? What if that was me?
yeah,
It'd be really weird. It's mind blowing to think about stepping into that place.
hmm,
It's hard to conceptualize at time the changes, but there would be significant change that would
yeah.
come from stepping into that place. Now, the next thing that I wanted to ask then is this: we asked how that happens to people. Now, how can we um, become better every day? How can
Yeah.
we become better every day?
I'm a firm believer you can't change anybody else.
Right?
So if your best friend of 30 years chooses to sit on the couch every day, no matter what you say or do, ultimately it's going to have to be his or her decision to get off the couch or to start
Yeah.
investing or start reading books. Um, in regards to your own life, in my own life, it's at some point I wish I knew the exact moment, but at some point I was scared to death of being average. I didn't want to be mediocre ever. And so
Right?
I desperately wanted to see what excellence looks like. And so I started chasing after that, which led me to the Army, which led me to pursuing some other things for sure, getting out, starting my own business. I want to see how far I can go. And I think if you don't have some kind of semblance of desire like that, it's going to be very difficult to try to improve yourself every day. Or
Yeah.
if you've gotten to the point where you're too scared to try something new or too scared of potentially being successful, and being on the couch is the safe option, you might just stay there. You really have to. I think you really have to find that point in your life or in your mind that you say, I want to see how excellent I can make life. Um,
Right?
but I'm the only one in charge of my life, so I guess it's up to me. You know what I mean? So that's a tough question. I know kind of the path that I'm taking, but it was a hard lesson to learn that I can't make people join me on this journey. It's ultimately up to them.
One of the things that I was thinking about was this: um, try something new every day.
Yeah.
Try something new every day. I love my mom for when I was a kid. I was not the athlete. Far from it. I was the guy who, and well, my mom, bless her heart, wanted me to try every last sport that she could think of. So I
Mm-hmm.
went and played tennis. I played golf. I played football. I played baseball. I couldn't play baseball to save my life. I'm sitting out there in the field, and and it just, I never got into it. It bored me. I'd sit out and, I was the kid in right field as well. Sitting out in right field, picking flowers, and like I
Yeah.
just never got into it. There wasn't enough happening. It was something to me that was like not very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I decided to, she kept putting me into different things. So eventually I got into a martial arts class. I was like, hey, this is our friends were doing Taekwondo. I got into it. I loved it. I was good at it. It took me trying lots of things to get to the point where it was comfortable for me, where I felt
Sure.
okay trying
Yeah.
something new. It took finding something that I was good at. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. And in addition to that, if you're at a point where you're willing to try new things, you also have to be willing to be not very good at things for a long time. Because being a beginner is all about failing a lot until you master a skill, right? Particularly in
Right?
martial arts. I mean, as you know, it's like you suck for a long time before you're good, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
trying new things is huge. And I think coupled with the understanding that it's okay to not be great at things for a while is important too.
Well, that leads to the next point. The next point that's really a big point that I did a list of things that was made sense to me about how to be better, how to change your life. And another one
Yeah.
was one of the ideas behind changing your life was this, that sometimes to change your life, you need to be uncomfortable. And,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we
Yeah.
tend to avoid discomfort, but like let's
Yeah.
go back to the gym analogy to start bulking up, to start building muscle mass. You need to lift weights, and it doesn't feel good. It's
Right.
not.
Yeah.
At least in the beginning, it's not a great experience. Like when you're done and you go home from the gym, you're like, oh, I hurt. Like,
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I agree. And it's a tough balancing act because particularly if you're a beginner, going to the gym and tearing your body up and then like being sore for 3 days, it makes it difficult to go back. But after you've gone for a while and you know that pain, it's actually a good thing. It's
yeah.
the breakdown of your muscles to eventually grow them bigger. You you start to appreciate it a little bit more,
Right.
and if you can tell yourself, hey, this is uncomfortable, this is a painful part of the process, but I really like the results, then it makes that process suck a little bit less, if that makes sense. Yeah.
It does. And I think that that's the thing. Like you make this commitment, but one of the most important things that I was reading up on about, like for people wanting to be better, is
Mhm.
simple. And it sounds like like when you say it, you're like that's really an oversimplification. Make a
Yeah.
choice. You simply have to choose to try.
Right.
And for a
Yeah.
lot of people, that's the hardest part
Mhm.
because whose life might you disrupt? I remember when my dad early in his 40s, he got a scare with he had some circulation stuff that was going on,
Mm.
and so they're like, change up your diet, cut back on oils, cut back on on anything that was, and he didn't eat badly, but they
Yeah.
were like, time to make a change. And I remember it was at the beginning extremely disruptive for my mom, who was used
Mm.
to doing some of the food for the house. And for her, I remember she got a little bit not upset. She understood, she wanted to have him his health, but it was still disruptive. It was
Sure.
disruptive
Yeah.
to what had happened. And it was
Mhm.
challenging for him early on to maintain his diet, um, because it was just different. And he had to
Sure.
do his meals separately because we
Mhm.
kids didn't want to eat like that. And probably would have been good for us to, but to make us
Right.
all eat the way he was eating was a drastic shift, you know?
Mhm. No, it's an interesting point too, and yeah, sometimes when you begin a journey, the people in your life are dragged along without their knowledge right away. So in that particular
Right.
instance, yeah, the meals of the house kind of had to change a little bit. Um, Same with kind of fitness journeys. Sometimes you're waking up at 5 in the morning, your alarm clock's waking up everybody else in the house or whatever. Um,
Right.
so yeah, it's important to uh, if you're starting to change your lifestyle. It's important that everybody's on board because it's going to be
Right.
incredibly difficult if they're not. And you're already kind of ice skating uphill by if you're just starting out a new thing. It's like uncomfortable. I don't know anybody there. Do I look stupid? Man, it's early
Right.
again. And now on top of that, the family's mad because I'm waking up early or having to eat different or whatever. Yeah, maybe it's a conversation that's got to be had with your tribe, whoever that may be.
Right. Well, and one of the things too that I think that which is the next part of this, how do you go on to be better, is again surrounding yourself by people, having a tribe that is going to support you. Because if you decide that you're wanting to make changes and you have a group of people around you who like this, say that I tell
Yeah.
people I want to create, my goal, and
Hmm.
I will tell this to you because I know you will support me in this. I want to create a media empire. I was thinking about that the other day. I want to create a media empire where I'm teaching. I have a ton of different YouTube channels, and each of those is dedicated toward teaching a different subject that, is part of my background, whether it be resilience and personal betterment on my main channel. And then I have a finance channel. And then I'm going to have an English language channel where I can teach people English. Why? Because that's kind of my skill
Yeah.
set.
It really all comes down to, and then almost as important is surrounding yourself with the people that are going to back you up,
Yeah.
but also call you out
Yep.
when you're not measuring up to your own commitments. I think that's almost the most important is people that
Yep.
are love you enough to say, hey man, you are messing up, and you need to get your act together. I sometimes joke around. It's like real friends stab you in the face. They don't talk about you
Yeah.
behind your back. They
Yep.
say, "Hey, man, I've got a problem with you because you're not measured up to the kind of man you should be." I think that's important.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with people like that.
Yeah. Maybe the friend will look at you and say, brother, I love you. You can't eat a pizza every day. You know what I mean? It was like,
Right.
that's not,
Exactly.
it's not helping you out. It's not helping you out. And I think that that's spot on. And I think that one of the things that I think is at the end of the day to how to be better every day, and I think this is really important, is make the damn process fun. You know, it's like, my brother wanted to get back in shape, and he's really smart with how he did this. Um he's not a gym guy. He's never been a gym guy. He always played basketball when he was younger, but playing basketball now,
Yeah.
he's getting into his 40s. You run the risk of injury. You run the risk of, having something that could be a little bit, you go and you sprain your ankle when you're,
Yeah.
20, it bounces back. You sprain your ankle when you're
Right.
40, it takes a little longer to heal. So
Yeah.
he
You
he
deal with
needed
it
to find
forever.
a
Yeah.
way, right? You're healing it forever. Exactly.
Yeah.
So he went out and bought a new mountain bike. First of all,
Mhm.
it was accessible. It was easy for him to do. He lives in a place where there's tons of trails. He can pop out his
Right.
door and he's heading up a mountain. So it was that, again, like we spoke, make sure that whatever you're attempting is close and easy to do.
Yeah.
And the second thing is it was fun for him, but he adapted it. He's part of this new electric mountain bike group, like these
Oh,
new
cool.
super cool mountain bikes. And so it's an assisted ride, but it's not much. When you're pedaling up a mountain, you're still pedaling up a mountain, but
Right. Yeah.
it just gives you a little bit of assistance, and it makes it again more enjoyable. He's getting a crazy
Yeah.
workout in, but it made it more fun for him because he's not um having to battle the elements, and maybe that's your thing. Maybe you do want to battle the elements, but for the
Sure.
majority of the people out there, if you can make it fun, it's something that you can keep up, which is, again, going back to my wife and her workout thing. When she and I went to the gym, we would go to a gym that was full of professional athletes, and they went there because, first of all, it was their community, and that was awesome. Like, they were really inspiring. If we missed a day, they would text us, and great, but it wasn't all that fun. They were professional weightlifters, and for my wife and
Sure.
I got her on the treadmill, and she's like, well, I don't want to get distracted. I was like, no, put on your Netflix, distract yourself.
Yeah,
It's okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
enjoy it. Like, so she put on a show, and it was like watching Breaking Bad. We're running on the treadmill, and she kept turning over to
Yeah.
me, asking me plot points. I was like, you've watched farther than I have. I don't know. You know, and so
Sure.
that's kind of the way as well. If you can make things fun, it makes it easier to keep it up.
Yeah, there's a difference between maybe the average person that's trying to jumpstart their lifestyle or get back in the gym or get back into reading or whatever the case may be, versus like the professional that is expected to do it at a higher caliber. Most people aren't Olympic athletes. The Olympic athletes are going to have to train harder, and when it hurts, and especially when it hurts, and make it difficult because they're trying to be the best in the world. The average person that just wants to be healthier and be able to pick up their grandkids without pain in their back, yeah, I 100% agree. Make it fun and make it so you can do it for the long haul, because the health and fitness and learning new things, it's not a one and done. It's not something you can cram for. It's not something that you can do once and be done with it.
Yes.
It's a lifestyle. You have to do it forever. And so if you hate it, don't. It's going to be difficult to maintain it. Full disclosure, I absolutely hate running. I just won't
Yes.
do it. And we used to we used to joke around on my team because none of us liked running, and we're like, we're not going to run because it breeds cowardice, and so we're just
Right.
not going to do it. And which is funny. So all right, so how do I get my cardio in? I enjoy rowing. I enjoy jump rope. I enjoy smashing a tire with a sledgehammer. Those are all way more fun than just running. and I can still listen to an audiobook while I'm doing it too.
There we go.
So yeah, make it fun, make it easy, make it so you can stay consistent.
Right.
That's the key, I think.
One of the things too that I was thinking about too, because like what you just said with the rowing, I love my rowing machine. I love my elliptical, and there are things that I can do. I can have my audiobook on,
Mm-hmm.
and it just, I think that we forget that it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to dream and have fun. I think people forget, man. Life is meant to be enjoyed. So here's the final question. Let's finish up with this. What is one goal that you have for yourself for the next month?
Next month. Great question. Several actually. I want to get another stripe or two on my white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's been a fun trip so far. I want to get all A's on my exams for my master's program in philosophy, and I want to grow my business by like five to seven more clients this month. So those are my goals for the month. Yeah.
I'm aiming to get back into BJJ as well.
Yeah.
I I get and I think this is something here. I'm a black belt in judo, but I still get intimidated about getting back in class and something new. And so I have to remind myself, get my ass back in there, man.
Absolutely. I totally agree. You know, it's been a fun journey for me so far, getting back in the gym like that, because it's, I don't know, interacting with new people and making new friends, and that's actually the intimidating part. So,
Right?
yeah.
Right.